When someone ignores you, it cuts deep. That silence, that deliberate avoidance, it stings in a way few other things can. You find yourself checking your phone constantly, replaying conversations in your mind, wondering what you did wrong. The uncertainty eats at you. The rejection feels personal because it is personal. And in those moments of hurt and confusion, we often make mistakes that only make things worse.
Nelson Mandela spent 27 years in prison, much of it in isolation, deliberately ignored by a system that wanted him forgotten. Yet he emerged without bitterness, without the need for revenge, with his dignity intact. He understood something profound about human nature and the power of our responses. Today, we're going to explore 3 critical mistakes people make when they're being ignored, mistakes that Mandela's wisdom can help us avoid.
The first mistake is chasing someone who clearly doesn't want to be caught.
When someone ignores you, your first instinct might be to reach out more, to explain yourself, to fix whatever went wrong. You send another message, then another. You call. You try different approaches. You might even show up where you know they'll be, hoping for a chance to talk. This desperation, this need to force a connection, it's understandable, but it's also damaging.
Mandela once said, "I learned that courage was not the absence of fear, but the triumph over it." And there's a particular kind of courage required to stop chasing someone who's walking away from you. It takes strength to sit with the discomfort of being ignored, to resist the urge to force a resolution.
Think about what chasing communicates. It tells the other person that their attention is more valuable than your self-respect. It gives them power over your emotional state. Every unanswered message, every ignored call becomes another small wound to your dignity. You're essentially training them that your boundaries don't matter, that they can treat you poorly without consequence.
More importantly, when you chase someone who's ignoring you, you're abandoning yourself. You're saying that their validation matters more than your own peace of mind. You're prioritizing their comfort over your dignity. This is the opposite of self-love. This is self-betrayal.
The person who ignores you has made their position clear through their actions. Silence is a complete sentence. Distance is an answer. When someone shows you through their behavior that they don't want to engage with you, believe them. Don't create narratives in your mind about how they're just busy or going through something or testing you. Don't make excuses for disrespect.
Instead, practice what Mandela demonstrated throughout his life: dignified restraint. He didn't beg his oppressors for recognition. He didn't chase after those who wanted him silenced. He stood firm in his own worth, regardless of whether others acknowledged it. Your worth is not determined by someone else's ability to see it.
When you stop chasing, something powerful happens. You reclaim your energy. You redirect your focus back to yourself, to people who actually value your presence, to pursuits that fulfill you. You send a clear message that you respect yourself too much to beg for basic human decency.
The second mistake is taking it personally and letting it destroy your self-worth.
This might be the most dangerous trap of all. When someone ignores us, we immediately turn inward with harsh questions. What's wrong with me? Why am I not good enough? What did I do to deserve this? We dissect every interaction, every word, every moment, looking for the flaw in ourselves that caused this rejection. But here's what Mandela understood deeply. How people treat you says far more about them than it says about you. He said, "Resentment is like drinking poison and then hoping it will kill your enemies." When you internalize someone's poor treatment of you, when you let their inability to value you define your self-worth, you're drinking that poison. You're doing their work for them, tearing yourself down more effectively than they ever could.
Someone's decision to ignore you is about their character, their emotional capacity, their issues, their choices. Perhaps they lack the maturity to communicate directly. Perhaps they're dealing with their own pain and don't have the emotional bandwidth to engage. Perhaps they're conflict avoidant, and this is how they handle difficult situations. Perhaps they're simply not a good person. None of these things are reflections of your value.
Think about it logically. Your worth as a human being cannot possibly be determined by whether one person responds to your messages.
That would mean your value fluctuates wildly based on other people's moods and choices. That would mean you have no inherent worth, only borrowed worth from others' approval. That's not how human dignity works.
Mandela faced people who literally saw him as less than human, who ignored his basic rights, who tried to erase his existence. If he had internalized their view of him, if he had let their treatment define his self-worth, he would never have become the leader who changed a nation. Instead, he maintained an unshakable sense of his own humanity and dignity, regardless of whether others recognized it.
You need to cultivate that same unshakable foundation. Your worth is intrinsic. It's not up for debate. It doesn't increase when someone pays attention to you and decrease when they ignore you. You are valuable because you exist, because you have the capacity for love and growth and contribution, because you are a human being with inherent dignity.
When someone ignores you, instead of asking what's wrong with you, ask what's right with you. What qualities do you have that deserve to be honored? What do you bring to relationships? Who are the people who do see your value? Focus there. Build your self-concept on your own assessment of yourself and the feedback from people who genuinely know and love you, not on the rejection of someone who's chosen to walk away.
Remember what Mandela said, "Do not judge me by my successes, judge me by how many times I fell down and got back up again." Being ignored knocks you down, but it doesn't have to keep you down. Get back up with your dignity intact, knowing that someone else's inability to appreciate you doesn't diminish who you are.
The third mistake is seeking revenge or becoming bitter.
When we're hurt, anger is natural. When someone ignores us, especially if we feel it's unjust or cruel, we want them to feel what we're feeling. We fantasize about them regretting their choice, about them seeing us thriving and realizing what they lost. We might even take active steps to hurt them back, to show them they can't treat us this way.
This is the path to becoming exactly what hurt us. This is how pain perpetuates itself through generations and relationships.
Mandela's most famous quote addresses this directly. "As I walked out the door toward the gate that would lead to my freedom, I knew if I didn't leave my bitterness and hatred behind, I'd still be in prison." He had every reason to be bitter. 27 years stolen, youth sacrificed, family separated.
Why? Because he understood that bitterness is a prison we build for ourselves. When you're focused on revenge, when you're consumed with making someone feel bad for ignoring you, when you're harboring resentment, you're not free. You're still controlled by that person. They're still at the center of your emotional world. They're still determining how you feel and what you think about.
Revenge keeps you tied to the person who hurt you. It keeps the wound fresh. It prevents healing. Every moment spent plotting how to hurt them back is a moment stolen from your own peace and growth. Every piece of mental energy devoted to their downfall is energy not invested in your own rise.
And here's the truth nobody wants to hear. Seeking revenge or holding on to bitterness doesn't usually hurt the person who ignored you. Most of the time, they've already moved on. They're not thinking about you. They're not losing sleep. Your anger and plots for revenge are consuming you while they live unbothered. You're the only one suffering from your bitterness.
But beyond the practical futility of revenge, there's a deeper principle at stake. Mandela said, "No one is born hating another person. People must learn to hate, and if they can learn to hate, they can be taught to love." When you choose bitterness, you're teaching yourself to hate. You're rewiring your brain toward negativity. You're becoming harder, more cynical, less capable of trust and genuine connection.
The person who ignored you might have been one person, but if you become bitter, you'll start seeing betrayal everywhere. You'll pull away from others preemptively to protect yourself. You'll test people unnecessarily. You'll sabotage good relationships because you're afraid of being ignored again. Your bitterness becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy, ensuring that you experience more of what you fear.
The alternative is the path Mandela walked. Acknowledge the hurt. Feel it fully. Grieve the relationship or connection you thought you had, but then consciously choose to release it. Choose to wish them well from a distance. not because they deserve your goodwill, but because you deserve your peace.
This doesn't mean you forget. It doesn't mean you let them back into your life. It doesn't mean what they did was okay. It means you refuse to let what they did continue to poison your present and future. It means you value your own peace more than their punishment.
Mandela taught us that courageous people do not fear forgiving for the sake of peace. Forgiveness isn't about them, it's about you. It's about cutting the cord that keeps you attached to pain. It's about reclaiming your energy and redirecting it toward building the life you want, rather than tearing down the person who hurt you.
So, what should you do when someone ignores you? You honor yourself. You maintain your dignity. You don't chase. You don't collapse into self-doubt. You don't seek revenge. You acknowledge that their inability to see your worth is their limitation, not your deficit. You surround yourself with people who do value you. You invest in yourself, in your growth, in your healing.
You walk away with your head high, knowing that you conducted yourself with integrity, even when they didn't. You prove Mandela's assertion that the greatest glory in living lies not in never falling, but in rising every time we fall. Being ignored is a fall. It hurts. It's confusing. It can shake your foundation. But you will rise from it. You will be stronger and wiser for having experienced it, as long as you avoid those 3 critical mistakes. Don't chase those who walk away. Don't let their treatment define your worth. Don't become bitter or seek revenge. Instead, stand firm in your own value, maintain your dignity, and keep your heart open to better connections ahead. That's the Mandela way. That's the path to true freedom.